Nice. Cool, man. I'm gonna Facebook Live it too.
Oh, there you go. All right, cool.
No one's on this channel.
So we're living to ourselves.
We're
Okay.
lying to ourselves. Nobody's gone on the page, but that's kind of what I would like to talk about. Is like this is supposed to be a jump-off template for how to move forward with our project. So,
Okay.
For people who don't know, the project is Vibrant Vienna. It's a website right now, at least that's what it is. It's a website that it's a community website that gets people engaged in events that are going on, people in town. And excuse me, I got a little bit of a sore throat, so like I'm drinking tea, and I even got like cookies here, so it's like a couple of old dudes drinking tea and water, and
We got our plan.
yeah.
Whole thing.
But the idea is, this is like a passion project. That's the thing. That's kind of what you called it, and I really like that phrase because it captures the idea of it, which is, I live here. You've been working here for years. I think you've been working here longer than I've lived here. But
2006.
to rewind, so let's zoom out for a second here. So I'm Kevin White. I moved here with my wife in 2013, and I can tell a little bit about my story, but that's the jump off. So,
Okay.
And my contribution to the project is web development, and kind of coordinating and I mean, you're doing some of that too, like coordinating meetings with people in town.
Yeah.
And looking for content.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
who are you?
My name's Travis, and I've worked in Vienna for since 2006, so about 14 years. And I've really grown to love Vienna. I like the community. I like the people. I mean, I think it's got a lot of character to it. There's a lot of, it's funny because there's a lot of people in Vienna, but it still has that hometown, I work at Anytime Fitness for anybody that doesn't know. And because of that, I get a lot of people, a lot of local people, and they, I always, when they're in there and I hear them talking about, events in town, what's going on. Like right now, a lot of, the local high school, Madison, was in basketball tournament. So I've heard several of my members talking about that and like how they're doing, and when there's different events and stuff going on in town. So, it's definitely, there's a lot of potential there to really capture some of that, personality. Is the best way I think I can probably describe it. Is it's, a lot of areas have that, but I feel like, especially around here, I feel like the closer you get to DC, you kind of lose a little bit of that. And a lot of it's because a lot of people don't live down there. It's more work oriented. It's more corporate. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
But, Vienna, it's been home for a lot of people for a lot of, like I said, I've been working in town for 14 years, but for some people, they've been here for 30 or 40. So
Yeah.
It's not it's a drop in the bucket compared to some people.
Yeah.
And when you approached me about it, my kind of hobbies / passions, photography, like that kind of thing, and that's how you reached out to me originally was. I saw a post on Facebook, anybody who does photography. I'm like, I do. What you looking for? And then it kind of grow from there. And I see a lot of potential on photography, and then with the video and stuff like that. We're kind of getting that up and running. So
Yeah.
I think and I like the website and the way it's looking so far. I like the design. I like the layout, and I think there's a lot of potential for different types of content that people will like.
Yeah, definitely. So so tell us about photography. How'd you get into it?
It's been a hobby of mine for about 15 years, and a friend of mine, I was hanging out with him, and he had bought a new camera, and he was telling me all about it, and then I watched him and another mutual friend of ours kind of do some of their things, and they're doing all these cool things, and I've always liked looking at them, like you can tell a really artistic photo from a snapshot or whatever. Like, I was like, man, like this would be really cool to be able to do. And then my one friend that I was out with was selling his old camera for a new one because he bought a new one, and I ended up buying his old one, and that kind of kicked me off on it. And then it's just been, it's been a hot, hobby. And then, in the last year or so, I've kind of been trying to, learn more and get more into it so that I can, have it as something on the side that I enjoy doing, and potentially, can make it like a little bit of a side business. But it's fun. I like it. So
cool.
I'm doing it.
Nice, man. That's awesome. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm an artistic by nature. So I'm creative, from a musical family, born and raised in New York. I can flip this. Yeah, we're winging this. Like
professional.
But this is like what I like about it is
right.
Going off script here is like I want it to be underproduced, and I just want to like push stuff out.
Right.
Make sure it's like spelled correctly, right?
Right.
But
right.
like at the same time, it just it shouldn't be exhaustive of everything happening in the town because there's a lot going on.
Right.
But it should be also refreshed. So that's gonna mean that we're gonna have to be on the ball with getting stuff out, and I'm talking like once a week. I mean,
something new.
There's some people who talk about sites and media and marketing and all this stuff that like push content, like 100 pieces of content a day on all social media platforms, and it's like, okay, let's just start with
pump the brake a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that. I want to take it slow in terms of finding out where people in our town are consuming information. But anyway, I went off script off of who I am. So from New York City, born and raised, like took the subway to high school, right? Went to undergrad for music. Actually went to high school for visual arts, so I did take a photography class. Enjoyed it a lot. Flipped to music because I'm from a musical family, and did piano performance for my undergrad major, and failed out of college basically. Enlisted in the Marines in 2005. I'm 26 years old, and I was going to be in the band in the Marine Corps, Marine Corps band. But the band is all jazz, so I flipped from classical music to trying to learn jazz in 8 months in the Marine Corps band, the Navy School of Music. And it's like trying to learn a new language, right? In 8 months, and they expect fluency, not like no. They want they want you to be able to go to the general's house and he's having a shindig, and you're gonna have to play stuff.
Right.
So I made it through to the 8-month mark, and they were like, yeah, no, sorry, pick another job. So I picked admin. So admin kind of led me into, in a really roundabout way, led me into what I'm doing now, which is IT. So admin is a lot of processes and a lot of like paperwork. There's Duncan and my dog. And come here, Duncan. I'll introduce Duncan. We bought Duncan in 2009. Say hi. Say hi. So he's the little old man.
What the hell?
Grumpy. So
okay.
Long story longer. Okay, so Marine Corps, did 7 years as an administrator. and then flipped into the DC area. I was stationed in Virginia Beach. That was my last duty station. And flipped into the DC area, got out of the Marines, did an internship at State Department, and then that kind of led into doing SharePoint, which is a document management system for Microsoft. And that led into, SharePoint doesn't work well. So me learning how to make it work well, and that's what really led into building websites, is customization of websites and understanding process improvement and business analysis. But then I kind of came full circle, because a lot of doing great websites is design, and making it look right is a big part of making it work right. And design and functionality are not at odds with each other. They actually work together to make something work really well. So doing a website is not only just something I've been doing for the government, but the design aspect of it has been something that I've really enjoyed. So hence, I'm jumping into this project and I'm going, how do I genuinely do this out of the goodness of my heart, not expecting anything in return, no money, and that's the passion project thing, to bring it full circle.
Well, that's something I was going to ask you was, was there something that made you what kind of kicked that spark in your head, like this would be a good idea for this town? Like, was there something you saw? Was there something that you...
Well, yeah, there was actually. So it's kind of been a process, because I started up my own business called Plan 4 Digital, and that was in 2016. And the idea was to build SharePoint sites, be B2B for other businesses, and build SharePoint sites outside of the government and do this on my own. And I did a couple projects. I did a project for Booz Allen. Me and a team of 4 other people built their intranet, or rebuilt their intranet. And but I quickly started to realize that I wasn't selling my skills, I was selling SharePoint, because a lot of people don't even know what it is. And I don't want to have to chase customers. Hence, this project alleviates that, because I'm not doing it for money. I don't have to explain it. It's like everybody knows what a website is. And it kind of unfolded organically, because I started to talk to people about it, and people were like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, like friends of mine and other people. So so it started with me looking at this website called Dumbo.is. So Dumbo is a neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. It's down under Manhattan Bridge overpass, and it's literally under the Manhattan Bridge. It's a neighborhood like under the Manhattan Bridge that's coming from Manhattan into Brooklyn, and there's this little neighborhood down there right on the water, right on the East River. And it's a vibrant, there's a word. It's a cool community, it's trendy, it's got a lot of some similar element, very dissimilar from Vienna. I mean, completely dissimilar from Vienna, but some of the same concepts, like it's Brooklyn is still part of New York City, but it's not in Manhattan, right? So Vienna has that same kind of vibe, where your first suburban stop, and Dumbo isn't suburban, but your first suburban stop outside of DC, I think, is Vienna. Like, you have Falls Church, I guess McLean is kind of suburban, but the thing about like Falls Church in Arlington is it is more compact. Like, you're gonna find a lot more people there who take the metro, as opposed to in Vienna. There's a lot. It's more car culture. So to me, it's like the first suburban stop outside of DC. So the Dumbo site. Anyway, the Dumbo site. I looked at it and I'm going. The site really captured, because I've been there. I've been to Dumbo, and the site really captured the vibe of that little town, it's not a town, I mean that little neighborhood in Brooklyn. But I liked it because it was an organic path through the site, where it didn't feel like this organized, like super organized thing, but it was like a discovery site. So as you clicked things, and it was also personal. So they have like these Q&As with people in Dumbo, like business owners, and I'm going, basically, this is what Vienna needs, something like this.
Yep.
And so it's not uncommon. Like Roslyn has one. They're called BIDs, Business Improvement Districts.
Okay.
And the BIDs, basically, they're like a business association, and they're tasked with kind of, I don't know all the ins and outs, but they basically, so this site was funded by the BID, but I thought, well, the content on there is, this is Charlie. Hi, Charlie. This is my daughter, Charlie. We're talking about websites. You want to talk about websites with us? So, I mean, I'm kind of droning on and on, but that's kind of where, to answer your question, like that's where
it came
the
from.
idea came from. Was I was already kind of on this path of, like, what do I want to do outside of my full-time job, which is building sites for the government, and I saw this website and it sparked an idea.
Cool.
That's kind of how it came about. Nice. So that's the idea behind vibrantvienna.com. So it's vibrantvienna.com is the site. And I think there's questions that you and I are asking ourselves, like, is it needed? Like, people can tell you, oh yeah, this is a great idea. But is it actually going to get clicks? Is it actually, are people actually going to go on and follow the content that's on there? And what type of thing, what are the things that we can put out there where we're not chasing people to click our site,
right,
but we get people to chase our site and to stay up with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with, you know, kind of what we do. Like, I think right now we're putting a good baseline down. We're getting, like, you know, some of the different places that we want to be involved in it, and we want people to be able to find on there. You know, you get the baseline information that people are, you know, that aren't necessarily new, don't necessarily know a lot about Vienna, or, you know, maybe just looking for something new they can go to. And then from there, you just, you know, like you were talking about, you know, weekly updates, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, you can do spotlights, you can do, you know, there's a lot of different things you can potentially put out there. Like, one of the good things about Vienna is, you know, there's a lot of community events. I mean, you know, the big ones are obviously like Viva Vienna, that'll be coming up in May. You've got Oktoberfest, you've got, you know, the Halloween parade. You know, there's lots of different things like that. You've got, you know, you could branch into youth sports. You could, you know, where you're kind of giving some people some information about that, let them check that out. Especially, like, you know, there's a lot of in and out in this town as well. Like I said before, there's a lot of people that have lived here for a long time, but there's also a lot of people that are moving in because this is such a growing area.
Right.
And, you know, for them, I think that in particular is a good way. This will be a good way for them to kind of figure out what, you know, what is around and what they want to participate in.
Yeah.
And kind of what, you know, what, you know, where they want to, you know, start and, you know, make new connections and stuff. So there's definitely a good, there's definitely a lot of content that could potentially go out on it. And, you know, I mean, especially when, you know, you start linking it up with, like, you know, social media and stuff like that. And, like, you know, I mean, you know, you could have other people. I mean, I know, like, right now it's you and me, and, you know, I mean, the hope would be over time maybe we get some other people that are interested in contributing, you know. And then, you know, like I said, it doesn't, you know, we don't want to, you know, be corporatized or anything like that, where it's not, where it kind of loses that down home feel. Yeah. But you know, I mean, I mean, it can, you can really get a lot of different people and get their perspective. And I think that's one of the things that you said to me was, you know, one of the things we talked about was, you know, talking to people that, like I said before, have lived here for a long time and are, you know, have stories about the town, know a lot about the town, like, and can, you know, that would be something, you know, to kind of, you know, give people insight into what's changed, what it used to be like, like what, you know, because I mean, Vienna is interesting in that it has that small town feel to it, but there's a lot of people. It's not a small town,
right?
It's not a small town at all. It's just but when you my primary job is on Church Street, which that's kind of like it's kind of a community hub there in town. Like there's especially hopefully with the weather getting better soon. Like there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time on Church Street or use it as a through. You've got the throughway, you've got the bike trail, and all of that is kind of like places where people get together and hang out, and
the town green.
Town green.
And
then you've got some very unique businesses in Vienna too. Like the one I always think of first is Jam and Java. I mean, it's,
Jam and Java,
it's a really cool place to be. Go get coffee and see a live show.
So like on my event, I think it's on the events page or the visit page. I think it's the events page at the bottom. The 3 ones that I highlight after like the calendar are Wolf Trap, Meadowlark, and Jam and Java. Because I think if somebody says, hey, I'm looking for an event in Vienna, just give me the 3 biggest venues or 3 kind of biggest. Like not
what comes to mind first.
What comes to mind first. And where can I go online to look and get like the highest chance of something going on? Wolf Trap 100%. is 100%.
Especially this time, coming into this time of year.
Right. In the summer and all their summer concerts. And then, Meadowlark is kind of that, people know about it, but like if you live in Tysons or you live in Merrifield or Falls Church, there's a possibility you're not aware of it. I mean, you've heard of Great Falls, but you've never heard of Meadowlark because it's a little bit off the beaten path. So the gardens there, and then of course, Jam and Java, which I have to confess I've never even been to Jam and Java.
It's really cool.
And like I had to get, because my wife has been there, and I used to think it was a coffee place.
Well, you can't. I mean,
but that's not what.
It's right. It's
Java is about.
Well, you
have to interview the guy because
it's the way I look at it is like it is, because I mean they have like you can go in there, you can get espresso, you can get coffee, you can get all that, you can go in and hang out. But the other good thing about that, or the kind of the unique side of that is, they have different music. You can go in. I mean, whether you want to go hear it, a lot of. I just found this out recently where they actually have you can rent out. They have a recording studio, I think, in there, and you can go in there and you can rent it, like if you wanted to record your own music or do something like that. So it's really cool. Like it's a really cool. It's an intimate. Like when you go to you go to concerts at like. What is it called out there? It was Jiffy Lube, now it's what the It's like it's been like 5 different things. But you go to like a big arena or like down in DC, like you kind of lose that personality of it.
The anthem down in the Wharf.
I mean,
new anthem,
But
it's big.
Anthem, it's big, and then you got thousands of people. Whereas you go to Jam and Java, and it's much more intimate. And it's much. I mean, the musician, even if you're sitting in the back of the room. You're pretty much right there, and you can see everything, hear everything. So it's definitely.
My daughter is gonna knock your camera over. It's a cool spot, and I think like people might hear that, like people from New York or people from DC might like hear something like that, and they might be skeptical, or they might say, "Oh, well, we've got an indie club that's got a small vibe. Like, what makes that special?" And so that's the thing, right? Is what makes any place truly special is the people, right? And every place has unique people, and Vienna has unique people, and Falls Church has unique people, and you can go anywhere and tell these stories. But the sum of the parts doesn't equal the whole, right? Like you could never put a website together or a list and really capture absolutely everything about Vienna without visiting the town. So the thing is that people just gotta come and experience it, and then it might click for them, and they might understand, oh yeah, this is different. Or they might come and be like, this isn't my vibe. Like I had a friend who called Vienna Snooze Fest, and she lived in I think it was Boston.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, if you're single and you want the bar scene, Vienna's not really gonna be your spot. This is a settle down community where people are aiming to get here, like once you have a family and kids and you're looking to settle down. I'm overgeneralizing, but
or like on a day when you're kind of you don't want to do the club thing or anything like that. You want something a little low key.
Yeah.
There's definitely. I mean, but that's the good thing about especially the three things that we mentioned as kind of we kind of picked as those top three. Wolf Trap, Metal Arc, and Gen Java, and all that is, they're unique places that would appeal to a lot of different people, and what those can be is stepping stones or like starting a path. Like you were talking about for the website being a path through the town.
Right.
Those can be the start of their. Oh, well, what else is around here? Like what else can I find? What can I do?
Yeah, that's cool. So this is my wife, Michelle. You want to come in and say hi? What? No, you're saying hi to the people on the interwebs. Nobody. It's not live.
It's not live.
It's recorded. Okay. No, but that's the idea. Like that's what we started off the website. This is fun and organic.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to try to avoid crying babies in all our videos.
It adds personality to it.
That's why we got the cookies.
Right. And, I mean, there's definitely, I'm sure there'll be some things we might want to do, like on a, have a little more of a as it develops, maybe have like a more, for lack of a better way to put it, more complicated or more intricate setup. But,
right.
I mean, to what you were saying before, I mean, because one of the things that they talk about with like when you are putting content out, especially for the website or social media or stuff like that, like it doesn't necessarily have to be over edited or over produced or anything like that. It's more about just getting out there and letting people know that this is going on, and,
right.
And in particular with a community page like this, I mean it almost I feel like over time it will come off that way. It will come off as more personable and more than it's not just some big company coming in. And,
right, exactly. It's all for money.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right.
I mean, that said, at the same token, it is about providing value to the people who we're interacting with, right? Mm-hmm. So I've even had this idea and this thought of these little things that we're doing. I mean, this is, if you had all the time in the world, and maybe we can make time for it, but we can do a side project while we're doing the project. And the side project, we got our full-time job, we got the side project, and we got the side project to this. And so the side project to the side project is tracking the side project. And what does that mean? It's like, all right, well, for the project itself, it's about providing content about the town. But the side project is providing content about how to do that. Right. And not necessarily how to do it for Vienna, but just how to do it in general. And the thing I think would be cool is, because both of us have never really done this before, like I've done websites, but embarking on this type of a thing is completely new for me. Like I've never done, I have zero experience with marketing and Facebook and YouTube and all of that stuff. I'm a consumer. Like I like listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. I listen to people who talk about marketing, but I've never actually done it. Like I can look at something and I can recreate it over here. Like, oh, here's how you do an image for your YouTube video, and here's how the font looks, and I can reproduce that. But the actual technical of all right, how do you respond to what people are clicking on? That's going to be new for me. So like an example is for the site, the Caboose article I got it here on Google Analytics. It got, I think it was 58 analytics. I think it got 58 views within the first 24 hours. Yeah, 58, right? And that's just off of posting it on Vienna Foodies on Facebook, which is a closed group.
Right.
And so I want to keep it, I'm keeping the posts to Foodies because I haven't finished the other parts of the website. And when I launch it, and we can talk about how we're going to launch it, but when I actually launch it, I don't even know how I'm going to launch it. For everybody's consumption, I want people to come to it and go, wow, there's so much content on here. I can't possibly sit here even for 30 minutes and get everything out of it that I want to. Hence, like, I like the long form video formats. I want, like, I don't care that the video's 20 minutes. And like, for a business piece, if they want me to keep the interviews, like we can go long on the interview, but the actual produced version, I'm leaving it up to them to tell me how long they want to keep it. So like Caboose's video was only 5 minutes, but the actual raw was 20 minutes. And they were like, yeah, can you cut it down? Because they didn't think people were gonna consume 20 minutes of video. And that may be true. But there are also things that they wanted edited out. With not bad things, but they wanted to keep it concise.
Right.
But me, what I'm thinking for this site is, and this is the way a lot of guys do it, like Valuetainment is another one that I follow. And what they do is they'll take this long form video podcast and then they'll chop it up and look for the most important pieces. And then that's how they spew it into the social media universe. Like, we're gonna take this, make an image of it, and make it a quotable, and put it on Instagram. And then we're gonna take this 2-minute video snippet and put that on YouTube as a promo for the long form.
Right.
We're gonna make it into audio so people can just do podcasts.
Yeah, a lot of places do. I've noticed that a lot with content creators when online and stuff is that, you go to their main page, it has all the whole thing. You get all, like, it's the full, like you said, long form thing.
Right.
But then, like, they'll put out, like, especially if they're talking about a particular, like, especially people that do podcasts and, like, if you're doing like a full-blown podcast with another person, the conversation is shifting between different topics.
Yeah.
So like you'll give a snippet of the different topics, like a couple of minutes to kind of entice people to come and read or watch the whole, the full as a whole.
Yeah.
And and that's what like for instance with Caboose, like they probably want it concise like that because for a lot of people, especially when they're just trying to check stuff out, they just want kind of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, or they want to know, okay, let me check this out, and then when I have time, I'll go back and if I'm really interested in it, I'll go back and look at the whole thing,
right?
Because I've done that. Like I look at a podcast and I'm like, oh, and then like I'll see they'll put out a clip of it, and then like I don't really like, I don't know, for whatever reason, like I'm like, it's not really hitting me where I thought it would. So I don't, like, instead of going through and watching 2 hours of content, like I've gotten from like 5 minutes, this is probably not my kind of, this is not what I want to do, watch something else or do something else. So.
Yeah, and the topics are interesting too, like Joe Rogan, he's talking to Elon Musk. So of course he's going to have something super interesting to say. The guy's sending rockets into space. So like there might be people in Vienna that are sending rockets into space, but they're not going to tell us.
But to your point, I mean, but that's, but like his is a good example because there's all different types. The gamut is open for his for who he talks to and what they talk about. So and something there's there's not really a reason, to a certain extent, there's not really a reason that something like what we're doing could be that, and at a certain point. But
Sure.
You just kind of build and see. And to what you were saying about analytics and seeing like what people are doing. I mean, what I think we might want to do at some point is, once we get a little more content up, put some, look at what people are watching the most.
Right.
I don't know if there's a way that people can leave feedback, like, just let people know, like, hey, like, this is a new thing. Like, we want to, like, what brought you to the site? What are you interested in seeing come in later? Like, what kind of, are there any spots in Vienna that you think would be good for us to add? Like,
that's why I want to push the Facebook page, because that is a familiar tool where people do know how to leave feedback.
Right.
And I want the Vienna VA Foodies, awesome page. There's stuff happening there. And they're allowing me to post these articles on there. But my eventual goal is to have our page. Yeah, that's Duncan's collar. You want some water? To have, hold on. Hey, do you have her water?
I'm thirsty.
Let's get her some water. You know what? We're not even gonna edit that out of the video.
That would defeat the purpose, right? Can't take you out of the video.
Because I'm talking about how I want it to be organic and raw. This is organic and raw.
This is about as
We're like living life with our families. This is empty.
That's one. Okay.
But like, so I mean, I made a joke like there probably are people in Vienna sending rockets to space, but the point there is that there are really interesting people. Like, what makes DC unique in particular too is you have people involved in our nation's capital, in federal government, that are doing really interesting things. Now, granted, there's going to be a whole swath of that community that can't tell us anything because by the nature of what they do.
Right.
But there might be some other folks that are in town that would be willing to share a little bit about, how they contribute to, whatever, NASA or whatever, and why they chose Vienna as a community to live in, and why they've lived here for 20, 30, 50 years. I mean, those stories are going to be, I think, easy to find. The difficult thing is going to be trying to almost convince people, like, hey, tell your story on our forum, where in the beginning, like you said, that's going to be hard to get that traction. But I think once it does get traction and people kind of see what we're doing and become attracted to it, then it might be a little bit easier to get folks on board.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, it'll give you examples to show. 'Cause, like, for some people, it might just be like, you go to them, you pitch the idea of what we want to do, and they're in their head, they don't 100% understand, like, okay, what are you really looking for? Like, well, here, like, go to the website, check this out, and you can see kind of what we do, and then they can kind of say, okay, I can do that, or know, I mean, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, right now that's literally what I'm doing when I walk in. I have my phone ready, and I just show them the page, because seeing it is so. Just for your knowledge, like, on the analytics, it's like 75% of all the engagement on the site. So what is all the engagement? All the engagement since February 21st, 166 users, unique users.
Yeah.
This is small numbers. There's people who post photos on Facebook that get more likes than that. But that's what I want. I don't want, like, if I saw 3,000 hits on the site, I'd be like, oh no, like wait, hold on, we're not ready, hold on, yeah,
Calm down.
yeah, back up, because then what'll happen is it'll spike. People will realize like the thing's not really working right yet, and then they'll never come back, or we have to like convince them to come back. And I want their first engagement with the site to be, frictionless.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point was, like 80% of it is mobile.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, that's.
And
that's
so like this is why this is a great learn as you go, because I knew that in my head. I had heard other developers talk about like you develop for mobile first now.
Yeah.
You don't develop for desktop first. You develop it mobile first for the design, and then I mean it's concurrent. I'm sure they don't just only do mobile and then they just flip it all into web.
Right.
But they're looking at them both concurrently. Like, okay, here's the big picture. Here's how we do it on, and then they take that one page and then they do it in mobile. And I did it a really long, hard way, which was like I did everything in desktop, like almost every page, and I think there's like, I forgot how many pages there are. It's like 30 pages. And then I went back and reconfigured all 30 pages for, it was not fun.
No, I mean it's yeah, you're right. I mean it's definitely everything's on the phone nowadays. Everything is because that's, and because of that, it's good that because it's so much more attainable. Like you don't have to be sitting there like especially for something like what we're doing, like people that are new to town that are here, they could be walking around. Like, well, what do you want to do? Like, well, if they're not in front of their computer, if they don't have a computer with them, then this way at least it's not limited to that.
Right.
And it's generally an easier, because it's with you at all. It's more accessible.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about like who's next. So,
next victim.
Yeah, just like off the top of my head, it's okay. So I stopped in at Social Burger today. I think it was the manager who was in there, said, oh yeah, I'm gonna email the owner like right now. Next week on Wednesday, we're meeting with Jen Morrow from Bard's Alley and Julie and Patrick Bazin. Yep. On Wednesday at 3. I stopped in at Norm's Beer and Wine, or maybe it's Wine and Beer. I can't remember.
Not sure.
Have you ever been in there?
Once or twice. I'm not a big beer drinker, so there is. I mean, and it's I'm not a big beer drinker, so it's not like I've been in there a couple times to pick up stuff like on the way to like a gathering or something, but it's not. It's never really been my thing, but that's where everybody goes. Like if you're like because they have everything. Like you said, like you go in there and it's just like. I had asked because a friend of mine had asked me to pick up something in particular, and I walked in and I was like, no, I'll be here for an hour.
Yeah.
I need help.
yeah, exactly.
But no, I think those are good.
Vienna Vintner, the new
right.
building on kind of by I guess is that Starbucks or Pizza Coffee?
Yeah. It's like kind of like behind. Yeah. One place, we're talking food, one place that I like in Vienna is, it's Maggio. It's the Greek place that's down by 7-Eleven.
Yep.
I think that would be somebody to talk to. I know his place has been here for a long time.
Yeah.
He seems like a very interesting guy, too. Like, I've talked to him a little bit when I've gone in there. I think it's him and his wife that own it.
Yeah.
I had another one on my head that I was just going to mention, but I'm blanking on it now.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then have you gone to Meadowlark Garden yet?
I mean, I've been there, but not for this.
Yeah,
not for this.
Okay. Yeah, because that might be something to do. Pretty. Because like I said, I mean, that's gonna be a big one, I think, for a lot of people. And that can be a good source of content in the future too. So
there you go.
I mean, and I know there's more. I mean,
Well, like so going off the restaurant theme, I met with Lou Cousins of Vienna Art Society. Lou Cousins of Vienna Art Society. She's the director. So there's the arts. There's Vienna Theater Company.
Yeah, I remember we
didn't work that out.
It was right around the holidays,
yeah,
wasn't it? So it was.
They have another thing coming up, I think, in April. So maybe we can get on that piece. So there's like all the arts, and then there's the Vienna Historic Society, which is like they maintain the Freeman store.
Yep.
And I got a cough. And it would be cool because of what you're talking about. Like, let's capture somebody's story who's lived in Vienna. You know, maybe their parents lived in Vienna. They grew up here. They still live here, and they can tell us when Maple Ave still had maple trees, and that's why it's called Maple Ave, right? Like, they could tell us when Church Street was a dirt road, or the WOD trail was still actually tracks, or whatever, you know? Because I think, like, the whole, not to bring up controversy, but I'm going to bring up controversy. The whole town, like, some people, not everybody, but a lot of people in town were upset about the look of certain buildings going up, like the Chick-fil-A, and they didn't like how it looked, and it didn't fit. And my opinion out of it, I think the point was, and the town took the point of, how do we maintain that feeling of what Vienna is, but still continue to grow and progress. And I think a lot of that comes from understanding the history. And so if we can tell that story, so this isn't just about promoting businesses.
Right.
This is about how do we capture a little bit of history, communicate that to people in town that are new. Like, I'm new. I've only been here since 2013. And that'll be a learning process for me too. And I can learn, like, wow, here's kind of how Vienna has evolved. And one of the things I'm learning and talking to a lot of these business owners is that it's been organic growth. It's been slow, incremental change from individuals making a difference, not government coming in. Government has its place. I'm not saying anything against it, but it's not been this whole big subsidized project where they said, we're just going to build this whole big mall or this whole big strip mall or shopping center, and we're going to get in all these chain stores and everybody's going to love it. And there are towns that do that need that were successful, but that's not Vienna's story. Like, Vienna's story is small, you know.
One of the things,
and that's an important story to tell.
It is.
Like, on the site.
And one person, while you were saying that, I was thinking, because I think this potentially could hit a couple of, kind of both sides of that. Bye. is the clock shop that's next door to my club. Yeah. Because I've actually had a conversation with the...
Keep going. I'm going to keep this up.
All right. I had a conversation with the owner, and he was talking about, we were talking about Church Street in particular, because both our businesses are on Church Street, and he said that the initial, when Church Street really started to expand, the vision of what, when he went to the town meetings and stuff like that, the vision of what they originally had said it was going to look like versus what it is now is a lot different. And I don't remember some of the details, but he kind of gave me a couple of examples, and to your point, or to what you said, is that over time, it's grown organically, or it's changed organically because just I guess what they feel like they wanted to do, and
right.
So I think somebody like that I don't know, I mean I know his business has been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Now whether I can't imagine he doesn't live in Vienna, because if your business has been here for that long,
right.
I don't know for sure, but if your business, so he could probably give a little bit of insight on both sides, like both the business side and on how the town's grown, what's changed, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think the town, they have to think about those things. Like, it's not that government has to be involved in progress from the perspective of how to do it right and fairly. In other words, like parking. Like, we can't just like put in all this new shopping and not consider where are people going to park?
Right. How are people going to get
How
there?
are people going to cross the street? Like, there's all these considerations and details that go into it. So, like, and so what does that have to do with our site? I don't know. I don't know if any of that is going to be part of the conversation on our site. I mean, it might be on the Facebook page, right? Because inevitably, and like Vienna Virtual Yard Sale is a perfect example, because you say the name of it and you go, oh, okay, it's a place where I can do a garage sale. Right. But it is not that.
No.
It's like people posting pictures of the kid driving their RAV4 too fast on Jonas.
Right. Or it's like, whenever there's like something going on about, like something like the fire department's out somewhere, or like, they've got a road blocked off somewhere.
Like when Marco Polo burned down.
Yeah.
People were
posting on that.
On that.
What's going on?
Yeah,
like,
pictures.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that too, because, I got lucky that because they want you to be a resident of Vienna. Now, at the time when I first signed up for it, I lived in Vienna for about 5 years. But I mean, obviously I've worked here a lot longer, but yeah, I've noticed that with that site, like, primarily what you get a lot of people trying to sell. I've even sold a couple things on there and that kind of thing, but it definitely is an outlet for people to, to kind of, if there's something going on, like to kind of reach out and say, hey, what, and they'll get responses like that too. So, because people check it a lot.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is, like, who are we intentionally targeting in the site? So to me, it's not just like a bubble, an internal site where it's only for the town and like only things of interest going on for people who live in Vienna,
right?
And Greater Vienna, but it's for like the veteran, right? Yeah. Who's considering moving to Northern Virginia because they just got out of the military and they were stationed at the Pentagon, and they're going, oh, we want to live here in the DMV. Mm-hmm. We're thinking about Vienna. Like, oh, here's a website. Like, oh, and they can understand a little bit more about what the town is, not just those insular kind of things like the construction happening or people complaining about this or that. And I'm not saying that complaining is bad. Everybody, you got to have a voice, and like, you want people to be able to raise concerns about things that concern them, but we also want to provide that also the positive side and informational side about.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then and then you definitely want to have an outlet for concerns and stuff. But I mean, I think when something like this, the main idea is, because hopefully because I really feel like for the most part, when you talk about Vienna in particular, like there's not much of a downside to it. Like, it's a good town. There's lots of diversity here. There's lots of things to do, especially when you talk about from the family aspect. I mean, I know we talked about it not being, like if you're 22 and single and looking for a place to move into that, you're trying to meet people and that kind of thing. Maybe not, but but even for some people, it's like, okay, I want to live in a nice town like this, but an aspect of it is, we're pretty close to like DC and Arlington and all that. So, for some people, it's like that might be cool. Like, that's kind of what I've always, when it comes to Northern Virginia, like I've always kind of looked at Northern Virginia as a whole like that, where it's like, it's quieter, but if I want to go to DC or if I want to go to like an event or something like that, I don't have to book a hotel,
travel 3 hours,
do all this other stuff because it's right there,
right?
And I think that for a lot of people will see that as a positive thing, and and it can be in particular, except for people that we want to. I feel like it's going to be a good outlet to kind of give the information from the people that have lived here for a long time and do know what it is.
Right.
To provide information to new people that are, whether they're visiting or whether they're moving here, to kind of give them a good way to kind of get some basic information and on just like what the town is actually like. Like you can look at the market, the housing market, you can look at the job market, you can look at the, but am I going to like living there? Am I going to like the town? Am I going to, be able to find things that I like to do to...
This site is qualitative.
Time. Yeah, I mean,
it's not about stats.
No.
Although I do have that thing at the bottom, demographics.
Yeah.
So the stats are there.
Yeah.
And the idea there is like to capture that bid kind of thing where the bids are often targeted towards small business owners that are considering your town to open up shop. And they want to know things like total commercial square footage in the entire town, whatever, things like that. So that might be something that we include on the site, but like you said, the qualitative aspect. And I think this cough is an indicator that we should wrap it up. But the qualitative aspect is super important. All right, well, maybe, I don't know what's next, man. I mean, I think we'll keep pushing. We'll get the interviews going with some of those other folks. But I think this was a good... This might get 0 views. You know what? Or if it gets views, they will not have made it this far in the video. God bless you if you did, because wow, you're like really interested in what we're doing, and that's cool. I want you to be, but yeah, it's how do we land the plane? I think well,
and hopefully with the video, like one thing that I would say is like hopefully when we do post it, I would say that if there people that do watch it, if you have, whether you're new here or whether you've lived here for a long time, like if you have suggestions or something like we talk about, like leave a comment, let us know, because it doesn't, any kind of guidance, if we can get a little bit of guidance as to what people are actually looking for, then that kind of gives us something to kind of target at least initially,
right? So
that we know that we've at least got some type of audience that's going to want to see it,
exactly,
and or something in
particular. So
like
and subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe. I gotta get used to saying
leave a comment,
leave comments, turn on the notifications.
Yeah, turn on the
notifications. Whatever the case may be, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that's I mean, it's like you said, it's a passion project, but we don't want to have no view. Like, we want people to actually want to go to it and actually want to have some type of interaction with it. So
it's going to be slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I would prefer that, actually.
Yeah.
I would prefer it not to just like explode and then fizzle out.
Yeah, because if you get too busy or if you get too much
viral or something. Yeah.
And then
not that we're posting viral content, but
right. But if the hope is, as it grows, and then by the time it does by the time it does get big, we'll have a system down to where when it comes to new content and bringing in new things, we'll already know what we need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Cool, man. I'm excited. I've been excited.
Yeah, it's fun.
I've been excited, and I'm
glad I answered that Facebook post you put on there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're awesome. I really appreciate you stepping up, and I enjoy working with you. It's been cool, man. Like,
Likewise.
I like your, hey buddy, your personality. And
Yeah, well, thank you.
Dad, I got a birthday card.
cool. This is William. William, you want
William?
to say hi to the camera? Over here.
You gotta come over here.
Say hi. Right there. Everybody's looking at you.
Hi, camera.
Hi, people in Vienna. Yeah, people in Vienna are watching. Yeah, they're watching you. What do you want to tell them? That's crazy. Oh boy. How was your day at school?
Great.
All right, bye.
Have